Welcome to Heart on the Altar, a podcast where nothing is withheld and is all for His glory. My name is Brittani, and I'm so excited to be here with you today on episode 12. Can't believe we're here. I'm so excited to see what God has for us today, partially because it has been just a challenging week. I think I've said that before. Obviously, I have lots of challenging weeks. But this one in particular, I think leading up to Thanksgiving, there is so much happening between work, church, life, regular life, knowing that kids are going on vacation soon. Can't wait till they go on vacation, no homeschool Monday, Friday, get a little break. But it's been one of those, like, God wringing me out, really teaching me that what I'm praying, He's answering that. And sometimes when He answers it, I think, well, why'd you have to answer it that way? Because it's just been teaching me a lot about my character and my integrity and how to continue to not care about what others think of me, not love the praise of others, but really love time with Jesus more. And what's crazy about that, this is like what I'm always talking about. I'm talking about how once we fall in love with Jesus, we desire Him more. We want to obey Him. We want to seek after Him. And there's been so many moments where I've been so challenged to lean into my pride. And today's episode was originally going to be on pride. And the more that I started studying, and then the more that everything started happening in my life, I'm like, I can't even just stop at pride. There has been many seasons in my life where the verse that we're going to read today, it has been the song of my heart. And I'm not sure about you, but there's been times that I've called out to God and I feel like it's like crickets, or I'm crying out to Him and I'm like, hello, you heard me, right? Just making sure. Let me repeat myself 12 times to make sure you understand what I'm praying for. And there's been other times that I don't even pray. I run to the phone, I call someone, and something that has been new in this season is getting on my face first and praying. And some of you probably think I'm dramatic, right? You're like, oh my gosh, she's always sobbing. She's always talking about being on her face. But it's because I'm so dependent on Him giving me Himself. Like, I want to honor Him in every part of my life. And I desire that because I love Him and I know that I can't make it without Him. And it makes me look foolish. I look foolish when I'm worshiping on Sunday and it looks like every week I'm going through some trial probably. But no, I'm worshiping because I simply cannot believe the life that He's allowed me to live and things that I thought I wouldn't live through emotionally, spiritually. Didn't think I was going to make it. Didn't think my marriage might make it. Didn't think, I don't know. There are plenty of times where I thought it was the end. And today, as I was reading, I literally just tear up. I feel like the older I get, the more I cry, or maybe the closer to Jesus I cry. I don't know. Take your pick. But it has been it's been a heavy season of God, I guess I really mean it. I really mean I want you or nothing. And my desire is for you who are listening, who are watching, that you get to that place. And I don't want you to be mistaken that as we walk through scripture, you're just supposed to magically appear there. No, I have to remind myself that my feelings lie to me. I have to have trusted people in my life tell me that. I have to be able to pause when I'm starting to spiral, because I'm a spiraler. I'll take a problem and I've already walked 7 years with that problem and have seen the whole outcome of it. And not once did I surrender my anxiety, my ego. Um, my idea of what God should do, what he's not going to do, I already determine it and I kind of move that way. I'm not sure about you, but has there ever been something in your life, maybe a God-given dream or maybe a really tough time in your life, like you don't know how you're gonna make it. Maybe you're paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you're just like, I don't feel anything, whatever that looks like for you. And you feel, again, you feel, right? You feel like, oh, I'm not gonna make it. This is God, why aren't you answering my prayers? All these things. And it brings me to the verse that we're going to go over today. And then we're going to lean into like when we don't have our eyes fixated on God, it's easy to lean into pride and the lust of life, right? There's different types of lust, and I could do a whole pod on that, and I probably will one day. And pride, we can go in deep on what pride looks like. I want to encourage you to combat your pride, combat your lust for whatever you're lusting after with the praise of Jesus. And so let's read this verse and I'll tell you about a time where this was like, it's still incredible to me, but this is one time that I can look back today and I can look back and say, I can't believe I made it out. But it's because of prayers like these verses. And so we're going to be in Psalms. I feel like I'm just in Psalms because it's just a rough time. But we're in Psalms 34, verse 4. I sought the Lord, and he answered me and rescued me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant with joy. Their faces will never be ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him from all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and rescues them. Taste and see that the Lord is good. How happy is the person who takes refuge in him. You who are his holy ones, fear the Lord. For those who fear him lack nothing. Young lions lack food and go hungry, but those who seek the Lord will not lack any good thing. Wow. I literally couldn't even get through that without being choked up. I sought the Lord and he answered me. There's a song that already pops in my head, like, I sought the Lord and he heard and he answered. And in that song, I remember times where I'm like, man, you say you are real. You say this word is true. So, sir, if you don't meet me, I won't make it. And a season like this, as you guys know, a little bit of my life, maybe you forgot because it was episode 1 and we're episode 12. I don't know how far that is, just kidding. But as my story is so messy. There's always been this phrase, it's the messy middle. There's so much always happening and I often don't like to share it because I'm like, one, people are gonna think like I'm psycho. People are not gonna be my friends because they're like, oh my gosh, her life is like crazy. But it really just keeps me so dependent on him. Like if I don't seek after him, if I'm not rooted in him, I'm just a hot mess. Hot mess. Like it is just, I just am. I'm just gonna be real. And in my family, we are a blended family. So I have 4 kids. My older 2, my kids are my bonus babies, my stepkids. I now have a 16-year-old, about to be a 13-year-old. And we have the twins, my husband and I together, that are 6. If you have a blended family, you've grown up in a blended family. So if you have a stepmom, a stepdad, you've grown up in any sort of family structure where it's mixed. Um, it's rough, y'all. Like, if I'm gonna be real with you, there are times where I thought, did I make the right choice? And I say that very honestly with it was not easy to be a wife to my husband and live in insecurity. And I'm going to explain more on that. It was hard for me to be a mother a bonus mom. That's what I call myself. We just add more love, a bonus mom to my kids, because of the drama. And through this season, I've always, like, prided myself pride, you hear that? In being strong. I kind of, like, make my mind up and I just go with it. That's just how I do something. I'm like, "We're gonna do this," and I'm just gonna go for it. Marrying my husband was the best thing I've ever done. I love him dearly. We both are not perfect, and being young parents, walking through a blended family brought me to places that I never thought I would be. Um, there's been times where we were going through court systems and I'm staying up till 1, 2 a.m. writing court documents, rereading them, anxiously worrying, is the point going to get across? Is the judge going to, what's going to happen? And at this time, guys, I'm pregnant with the twins. And our kids, we were in a process for them to move out of state. And throughout this whole time of us being together, like while we were going through this custody battle, um, it was one of the times where when I talk about I was like found in a closet having panic attacks, um, not knowing how to function with normal adults. And when they ask you, like, how's your day going? I'm like, it's great. And we just left a court hearing and heard that our kids were going to be part time here, part time in another state. Um, walking through co parenting, walking through surrendering my will, I cannot stress to you how hard that is. I think I typically have the best ideas. Let me just be real. My pride sometimes can get real high. I think I know what I'm doing. I think I know what's best for everyone. And it is my Achilles heel. I have to constantly say, like, God, I ain't you. I don't know the full picture. I don't know the whole story. But I remember walking through this season of figuring out how does life go on when it is not the way that I pictured. I pictured us living from our kid's bio mom literally 5 minutes away. I pictured just like trying to smile through it and make sure we had the most happiest memories, and that was going to make the time go great. I remember trash talking, belittling, thinking more highly of myself in this situation. And that's literally embarrassing to admit, but there was a point where I had to literally pause and decide, God, I will not make it through this court case. I will not be able to be a good wife to my husband because one, I was placing blame on him. Why do we have to go through this? Why didn't you just do it this way? Why did you say this? Why did you do that? Why, like, all all the fingers pointing. And I would put myself in a place of like, well, I wouldn't have done that. And guess what? I wasn't in that position at that time. I didn't even have kids yet. So to even understand the heart of a parent, I wasn't there. You that are not parents, you can't fully understand what it's like to have a child until you have one. And when you do have one, it changes your entire perspective. And to have bonus babies, to have stepkids, there is a line of me as a stepmom that I was so fearful. I kept thinking of this thought, what if they don't love me? And that broke me. I there that's why I was in the closet. I was sitting on the floor like, God, why aren't you answering my prayers? Why did you do this? Why do we have to go through this? And just literally like telling the Lord, like, you suck. Like, why didn't you just, come in here, wave your little finger and make it all right? Isn't it better for them to be with us, to have both parents right there? On this side of heaven, I will never know why God did what he did. But what I do know is where I found the most solitude is knowing that I could literally cry out to him in every weak moment I had. When I think about pride, and this is where it came in, I was thinking about how often the reason that we don't go to God is because of our pride. And pride, it stems from self-righteousness. We think so highly about ourselves and the way that we think, the thoughts that we have, that we always have the right answer, that our motives, even if they're like our motives are pure, but we still did the wrong thing, we still hold ourselves to high esteem. And so self-righteousness conceit is sin. God hates pride because it is a hindrance in seeking after him. When I thought that I had the power to help my husband in a time that I got wise counsel, and people told me to sit my butt down and pray. And I said, yes and amen. I'm praying and I'm doing this, and I'm praying and I'm doing that. Your situation obviously might not be my situation. But when in your life have you had a moment where your pride blinded you, your self-righteousness, that you knew what was best for you without ever consulting God? You were informing him. I sent God so many memos. I'm like, did you see my memos? I needed you to answer every prayer. And there's so much good here. When we are utterly dependent on God, when this verse says, I sought the Lord, sought is an action. It means you went after him. Desperation. And he answered me and he rescued me from all of my fears. Some of us love our fear because it's comfortable. It's what we know. We can worry and doubt and go through the what ifs 90 million times. Some of you are what if doctors. You could teach the best of them of how to overanalyze, overthink. And then we wonder, well, why can't we hear God? Well, because pride has us so full of ourselves. I'm speaking to myself. There are so many times I have to say, like, Lord, it is not about me. When someone offends me, often the first thing I do, I'm like, ooh, they just hate me and they just want to do. And sometimes I literally have to say, God, please, like, I surrender my right to be offended because I make myself the center of the universe, and the universe does not revolve around me. It doesn't revolve around you. And what I love about when God is talking about pride, there's so many different prides. There's just pride in I'm self-righteous. God, you owe me. Yeah, you need, like, you created me, right? You created me in your wonderful image. Why don't you do? None of us would actually say that. Some people are bold enough to say that, but our lives, it looks like that. And we keep going on, that pride keeps so many people from actually accepting Jesus and wanting to follow after him because we don't have all the answers from him yet. And I say yet because the only time all of the answers will be answered is on the other side of eternity. He will completely reveal himself to us. That's what his word says. But our minds here on earth cannot handle that information. I cannot handle him giving me my 5-year plan because I would mess it up, because I would think, oh, if I meet this person, it's going to be this one. And then I just start messing things up. I was doing a project with my kids and we were doing it. And I mean, whenever you do a project, you do painting, anything, I have an idea of how I want the project to look like. I have an idea of how I think the painting is going to turn out to be. And often, every single time, it does not look like that. Partially because they don't want to listen to instructions. They want to do it their way. They want to help. And then sometimes, have you ever had someone try to help you and then they make more of a mess? That's how sometimes it feels like when I get in God's way. Because I can get in his way when I am so arrogant, thinking that I didn't need to stop and pray. I didn't need to be slow to speak, quick to listen. Like, those are moments that I literally could be like, God, who? I got this. You've trained me. I can do this on my own. But our Christian life is made to be done with Him. And so as I started to dive into into pride more, to thinking about what does our pride say about what we think about God? I often am prideful when I don't want to admit that I have sinned. And so sometimes, even when I'm seeking the Lord and He answers me and He rescues me and He tells me, hey, Brittany, you're having some fear. He tells me that I have joy to offer you. He tells me that He can save me from all my troubles, that He is everything. If I just lean into Him, He is trustworthy, that I can take refuge in Him. And often I say, thank you, but your refuge, can it look like this? And He says, no, I just want you to sit with me. I'm like, yeah, I hear that, but I'm busy. Don't you know, God? I have a job. I have kids. I have this. I volunteer. I need to sleep. I need my rest. I need self-care. I need to go work out. I need to do all of these things. So can you just go and be there with me? And why I love this verse is that He says we will lack nothing when we take refuge in Him, when we seek the Lord with our whole heart. When I was in those closets having panic attacks, I had to learn that my whole heart, I had to seek Him and tell Him, I don't understand what you're doing, but I will trust you. And I might have to repeat it over and over and over. And one of the biggest prayers that made a difference, you have your regular prayers. You can just pray out of desperation. And there are some corporate prayers, some prayers that have been written out and we can say. One of those are the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever the next. That prayer right there, it was my breath. Times where I was sobbing in the shower, saying, God, how could you? How could you do this? How could you allow this? How could you allow children to go through this pain? How could you allow this to happen to this person? Where are you? I'm reminded, God, would you grant me the serenity to accept I cannot change their actions? I can't. I am only responsible for myself. I have to surrender everything to you. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change them. But give me the wisdom. Guys, if I can say anything, His wisdom is His word. His wisdom is saying, to be made well, you must lay down your pride. You must know you are not the author of creation. Your truth is not the truth. The truth is Christ Jesus. And we are living our life. How often do we excuse actions of those who are calling themselves Christians, yet but acting like the world? Or maybe the world, and we're saying, act like a Christian. Guys, there are things out of our control, many things. So God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage. It takes courage to look yourself in the face and say, Lord, my heart is ugly. I want you to doom this person. David in Psalms, he is always saying, kill him, smite him, take him, Lord. Oh, then I'm like, yes, come on. Isn't that some praise? Just kidding. But always, it will take courage for you to stand on truth. stand on the truth that we might never understand why God allows things to happen. But when we have the courage to get on our face in humility, to lift our hands and surrender, to say, God, if you don't meet me, I won't make it. I have to surrender this specific issue to you. That takes courage. That is boldness. That is beauty. When we lay our whole heart before Jesus, it takes courage because you have to leave other things. You have to leave your pride repeatedly, saying, I am not God. This life is not all about me. I'm not here to make everyone happy. At least that's my struggle. I can't please everyone. Not everyone's going to like this podcast. That has to be okay because I'm not doing it for just the views, the likes. I'm doing it because I want people to fall in love with Jesus. I want my heart to constantly be surrendered to his will, his way, his wisdom. And that starts right here in the Bible. So God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Stop ignoring the wisdom that you cannot control someone else. You cannot control a situation. You cannot manipulate your way through something. Allow him to infuse you with his strength, his joy, his peace as you surrender to him. Okay, so grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change. Well, let me start with God. Grant me the serenity I cannot change. Courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know difference. Trusting that you will make all things right. Do you trust him? I sometimes don't. Sometimes I'm like, are you really, are you going to leave me out in the rain? Is all of this for nothing? And then I'm reminded, do not trust my feelings. This too shall pass. I'm no longer hiding in the closet. I now get to have a marriage where we talk about the hard things. We don't just ignore them and sweep them under the rug. I'm not just pointing the finger all the time of why did you do this? Why? Maybe I do on other situations, but not in this co-parenting. We're strong now. But do you get what I'm saying? Trusting that he will make all things right. But there's a key word that comes next, and it's if. If you surrender to his will. If you seek after the Lord with all your heart, then he offers all of these other things to us. He becomes a real refuge for us to sit and be safe when the storm's surrounding. I almost went back over Matthew 14 because I'm like, it was just so good to realize that until Jesus was there, the storm stopped. When he was a distance away, the storm was still going. I want Jesus in my boat. I want to have faith as I'm watching him and the waves are shaking. I will keep my eyes on him. All of this, we will lack nothing. But I'm not talking about material things. You probably are going to lack material things. Why? Because everything's expensive. I don't know about you, but everything's expensive to me. I can't have the new car that I want. I can't afford the payment. I can't have all the new outfits. I want a whole new wardrobe. Can't afford to do that. Partially because the whole theme of the world, what is it, like the fashion trends will change, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm already behind. I don't even try anymore. We have the opportunity that if we surrender to God's will, we are offered a safe refuge. That I say this in joy. I sought the Lord and he answered me. How happy is the person who takes refuge in him. You are his holy ones. Fear the Lord. Not like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared of God. He's just going to send me to hell. That's not what it meant. It means saying, you have created everything. Father, I surrender my entire heart to you. I am nothing. I don't make this world go around. This whole world does not evolve around me. God, I want you to receive the glory from my life. That is the type of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that you can be in a really hard season, and no matter how you feel, you are still obedient. You still open up your word. Even if you're just sitting in front of it crying out to him, please try it. Sing his praises. But also, don't forget when you're not in the storm, don't let that pride rise up in you and say, "Ooh, I did it. I made it through that." How often is that our track? We get through something like, "Ooh, that was so hard. I can't believe I did it. I was so faithful." No, God was faithful. You were obedient. That has to be our mindset. We are faithful in him because we are called faithful when we are leaning into our faith, knowing who our God is, that he will provide, that he will come through, that he is our refuge. That is where our strength comes from. That's when we look back at the challenge, whatever we went through, and we say, "Dang, God, you did it. Man, I was a hot mess all throughout it, but God, you remained faithful." Let's not steal his glory even when we're in the high moments. And also those who are waiting on an answer from God, waiting on when God's going to say, play, run, go. So, will you enjoy seeking after his face, even if it's not in front of a screen, even if it's not on a stage? Can he be enough for you? That is my challenge. That we seek after the Lord with all of our heart. That when we read his scriptures, our heart melts because it is the living word of God. That when we look back at problems, we say that he was good. And even in, speaking for myself, one of the darkest weeks I felt, I remember that God is faithful. And I have so many reasons to be thankful. As I walk into Thanksgivings next week, I am reminded that I'm not only thankful for the breath that is in my lungs, I'm not only thankful for my family, my church, to have a job, a car. The most important thing, I'm so thankful that God is making me spiritually mature. That he is giving me the language to be able to communicate what has been going on in my heart. And I'm honored to be able to pray for you, to be able to sit in his word and weep and say, God, if they only knew, would you light a fire in their heart that they want more of you, that they can't help but say, ooh, I want a little bit of what Brittani has, not because of who Brittani is, but what you are doing through me. That is what I'm so thankful for this season. I'm thankful that even in my darkest days, I can smile, I can laugh, I can get on my face immediately before I call a single person. And I can ask for your wisdom and your guidance. I can choose to lay down my pride and be held in accountability. All of these things are what I'm thankful for, and I would have never said that before. So if you have just become a Christian, maybe you're still on the line of even knowing if you really believe in Jesus, or maybe you're a longtime follower, your journey will look different because you are a different person. But what is not different is God. When we encounter God, no matter who you are, his word, his wisdom, his presence, it is just as real and available. The awe of who he is just that good. So I want to invite you. Next week, we will not be having a podcast. My husband's like, why? Why? Because it's Thanksgiving week. I want you to sit, catch up on some episodes if you're behind, rewatch your favorite ones. I don't care. I want you to pause, get into his word, really seek after him. What are you asking for him in prayer? Ask him for more of him. Ask him to show you who he is. Ask him for his wisdom. Do you see that it's different than when we're just asking, like, God, can you give me the car? Can you give me the job? Lord, show your favor on me. Make your prayers, and even when you're reading his word, put him at the center and not yourself. That is my challenge, that next week you take the time, this next week, as you think about what are you thankful for? Where in the areas of pride do you see red flags? Where do you need to seek after the Lord so you can watch him answer you? What are you afraid of that you are allowing it to rip you from his refuge? Why are you not allowing him to allow you to be happy in who he is? And would you allow him to calm the storms? Because he is so close to you. And you realize that he is the Almighty God. That is my challenge for you, that you lay your whole heart on the altar. Because, guys, I'm not playing games. This is real life for me. Seeking after him with my whole heart, it is work. I must work out my faith. And it is hard. Sometimes I want to give up and I want to run and I want to hide, but I can't. Because what I do know is that the God I serve, he wins at the end. And he is real, and he can save anyone. He can forgive any sin. And you have an opportunity to be able to fall in love with him. And your walk with him will look different. But you have to be courageous and willing to lay down your right to be right, lay down your truth for his truth, and remember that when you lay your full heart, everything, he is good. He can save you. Guys, I love you. If you like this episode, would you share, like, and subscribe? Remember, there's no episode next week, but we'll be back right in December, and we're going to be talking about some good things about who God is. But remember this week, a heart on the altar is a heart that is fully his, nothing withheld, nothing is withheld, and it's all for his glory. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.